We kind of slow getting going here a little bit, so it was a full day yesterday. So thanks for those who came to get this second day of the Ocean Symposium moving forward. So thanks very much. Again, for those, I think almost everybody in the room know me. I see some new faces. I'm Tony MacDonald, the director of the Urban Coast Institute here at Monmouth, and helping to facilitate this meeting and keep it moving along to a very successful outcome. So again, I think you'll all agree we had a really great day yesterday. Really, I think that setting the stage and really identifying sort of some of the main characteristics of really what is the current state of the ocean ecosystem in the Mid-Atlantic, and also some major strategies and issues that we need to tackle. So we're kind of taking a little bit of a change of focus today, so we'll have much more specific discussions. We're going to dive down a little bit more deeply into some of the policy issues that are driving the needs for science and management, and we'll also really, I think, move not only into some specific discussions of some really innovative research and monitoring work that's being done to help advance those ideas, but really we have a great session toward the end of the day where we're bringing in some early career scientists and some youth voices and perspectives to talk to us as well. So it's really, I think, sometimes good to get beyond sort of the default to the experts to identify what we need to do and talk to those folks that are really seeing it from a different perspective. So really looking forward to that today. And again, really encourage everybody to stay toward the end of the day when we have the poster session where some of those presenters and some other students will be out here to talk to us and educate us about what we all should be doing a little bit better. But we're going to start things off here a little bit with more of a welcome before we get into the first panel. So I'm really pleased to welcome and thank Katie Angarone for joining us. She has like one of the best titles that I've ever heard. She's the Chief Strategy Officer for NJDEP, so that really sounds really exciting, but she really has worked her way into that role after a very long career. I think it's 26 years or so at NJDEP, so she really brings a lot of knowledge. She's worked in a lot of aspects of the department, including Assistant Commissioner for Watershed Land Use, Assistant Commissioner for Science and Policy, and also water quality and land use issues. So she really has come up and seen it all, so to speak, and certainly I think she agrees. I've had the pleasure of working with Katie on some issues. She understands that oceans also are a new frontier and one that the state is already very active in doing. Certainly you've heard about their really, I think, nation-leading efforts on offshore wind, as well as making sure that when they do that, they do it in a way that serves the environment. So you heard some suggestions yesterday that among the other elements is they're really requiring investment in research and monitoring to make sure we can not only know what the baselines are, we had some discussion about that yesterday, but also what the ongoing monitoring and the science needs are going to be. So really, she was instrumental in thinking about that and working directly with BPU and really the architect of some of those programs. So with that, I'll just invite Katie up to add to that intro any way she wants and make a few remarks. Thanks.
All right, thank you for that great introduction. And I really want to start by just saying thank you all for being here. The work that you are doing to protect the ocean is so critical, and thank you for taking the time to be here today. I'm really excited to be here. Welcome to day 2. I heard a lot of good things about yesterday. As Tony noted, I'm Katie Angarone. I am the CSO. I know that's horrible, but that is my name. So for more than 50 years, DEP has made New Jersey stronger and a fairer state by protecting our environment and the public health. With hard work, exceptional knowledge, and expertise, the DEP's staff has made the agency an unfailing guardian of New Jersey's precious natural and historic resources, including, of course, the ocean. I myself, as Tony mentioned, have been blessed to work in programs that support ocean health and conservation through research, as well as watershed and water management. 2 DEP priorities are to manage and promote thriving natural resources and to reduce and respond to climate change. And I don't have to tell this group that it's really no longer possible to do one of those without doing the other. I also know that you're aware of our absolute reliance on a healthy ocean for our culture and, of course, for our economy. DEP has an obligation to protect the resources that we hold in trust for the public by following the law, using the best available science, listening to all sides, finding the balance, and of course being transparent. Those are our principles, and we work really hard to live them. They're our foundation. And I'm also, as Tony mentioned, a proud founding member of New Jersey's Offshore Wind Research and Monitoring Initiative, and I've served on the steering committee since its inception. Early on, that steering committee, made up of DEP and the Board of Public Utility leaders, established the RMI Foundation by drafting our own specific principles and objectives that reflect the department's mandate to protect the ocean. That is a mandate that I take very seriously, and I hope that comes through when I share a little bit about the RMI today and other state efforts as you prepare to hear about what we are doing in the arena of ocean conservation. So first, let me say that while I know no one in this room needs to be convinced of the importance of effective ocean management, fostering action and stewardship in the public, lasting stewardship, requires outreach and education. People are inspired to care for and to protect what they understand. The general public likely only sees and understands the most obvious elements of their relationship to the ocean, but there's so much more. Think about someone shopping for sunglasses, and stick with me here for a minute. What could that possibly have to do with the ocean, right? But maybe that consumer decides to search for and select a pair of sunglasses that are made from ocean plastic. What led them to that decision? What fact or picture that they've been exposed to helped them to understand their personal choices have an impact on a resource as vast as the ocean? The answer is education. It's the social sharing of knowledge. And I know that sounds like a small example, but multiply it by every student in New Jersey. You guys know that New Jersey has the first climate curriculum for K through 12 in the nation. What an opportunity. Think of all the outcomes that are made possible when people understand their relationship to the ocean. Suddenly, it's really impactful, even that purchase of sunglasses. So with that in mind, last week, DEP announced an informational climate change exhibit that will circulate in our state parks. The exhibit spotlights sea level rise, harmful algal blooms, an extended wildfire season, and ghost forests. It shares how these specific climate change impacts are affecting our state parks and forests, which you know many, many people visit. And last year, we installed climate change learning stations and photo stations at 5 locations in 4 of our state parks. And the purpose of these learning stations is to provide visitors with information about the shoreline directly in front of them. Why it's important, how it's naturally changing, how it provides protection, habitat, and how that change will be impacted during climate change. So using the My Coast app, which allows users anywhere in New Jersey, not just the coast, along with stationary photo stations, visitors have the opportunity to become community scientists and help us document change. Each station has a phone holder that ensures that the photos are taken from the same vantage point along the shore, and once uploaded using the My Coast app, the pictures are tagged with weather and tidal data. Over time, a time-lapse video is created at each location, providing us a visual representation, which is so important, of the shoreline change. A better understanding of one's natural environment and how it's changing is critical to everything that you're talking about here today. And I'm also sure you're aware that there are real concerns about the amount of research that we need to do to address climate change and the number of researchers there are to do it. So the efforts you're going to hear about today that reach students and community members and local officials and, frankly, our future members of the green workforce, they could really make a difference. I understand that yesterday you talked about the speed at which data is changing and the importance of making data accessible to everyone. So I challenge you today to listen closely, perhaps for hidden opportunities in all that you hear, and then talk about them with colleagues, with local officials, educators, anybody who will listen, and be part of the movement to inspire an expansion of our ocean and climate workforce, and to inspire meaningful action in our communities. Much of my expertise is in watershed and land management, and as Tony has told me time and time again, all of New Jersey is the ocean's watershed. And DEP agrees that in order to further the goals of conservation, we also need to continue to act to reduce the impacts of climate change and ensure that our nearshore areas are protected. So last week, during Climate Week, we released the strategy to advance carbon sequestration on New Jersey's natural and working lands. I know it's a mouthful. And we did that as a call to action for land managers across the state, including those that are not in government. The strategy is intended to guide management not only of state resources, but all natural and working lands in New Jersey, and it recognizes that carbon sequestration helps to offset the state's overall goals for greenhouse gas emission. The natural lands that are the focus of this strategy, they include aquatic habitats, wetlands, agricultural, even urban lands, and certainly forests. And the strategy includes recommendations for maximizing maximizing sequestration by protecting and expanding and restoring areas that are effective at sequestration, such as submerged aquatic vegetation, Atlantic white cedar swamps, and tidal wetlands. And strategies include restoration of natural areas and installation of nature-based solutions. The targets for aquatic habitats are really focused on submerged aquatic vegetation, including eelgrass and widgeon grass. And these grasses provide essential habitat, as you know, for shellfish and finfish, while also acting to stabilize sediment in coastal waters. Unfortunately, New Jersey's seagrass habitat has been declining in size and density in recent decades, so this is particularly important work. Our tidal wetlands, which are threatened by sea level rise, as most of you know, have been identified as some of the most effective carbon sinks in the world. These areas store over 50% of the seabed's carbon reserves. Some of the actions the DEP will pursue for tidal wetlands through the strategy include installation of living shorelines, restoration of salt marsh vegetation, and tidal reconnection projects to restore tidal flow in diked marshlands. I could probably talk about that stuff all day, and nature-based solutions, passion of mine, but I'm also so proud of New Jersey's efforts to conduct innovative and collaborative research that really is part of a greater story up and down the eastern seaboard, the RMI. So in order to protect our resources, and of course we need to understand them, I think you covered that yesterday, and that's why we build everything we do, every decision on sound science. We really cannot succeed without quality data. So to that end, DEP, in partnership, as I said, with the Board of Public Utilities, developed the Research and Monitoring Initiative, or the RMI. This initiative is a rigorous scientific approach to uphold the state's mandate to protect and responsibly manage New Jersey's coastal and marine resources while supporting the state's overall offshore wind goals. And I am so proud of the innovative studies that this initiative has funded so far and the cooperative spirit that it has fostered well outside New Jersey's borders. The nimble framework that we established allows us to adapt to the emerging needs and keep up, really, in a fast-changing environment. And I am just amazed at the assemblage of expertise that we've gathered. At present, we have 18 research partners from various institutions, both inside and outside New Jersey. And their willingness to collaborate with other researchers to pool their data and their resources to gain a robust understanding of our marine resources, I find truly inspiring. And the small but mighty team, many of whom are here, that work directly with me on RMI works passionately and tirelessly so that we're not funding projects in a vacuum, that we are connecting dots across boundaries, because let's get real, a fish detected down in the Gulf that is then traveling to New Jersey, it has a story to tell. So does its DNA. The RMI will be a long-standing effort that addresses the need for regional research and monitoring during offshore wind development, construction, operation, and decommissioning. We're not going anywhere. It's going to be a long haul. And as I mentioned, the data is shared and will be publicly available for multiple uses. This effort is advancing even the very basic understanding, that baseline understanding of our ocean environment. It's filling critical gaps in our knowledge, and it's enabling us all to better manage our impacts in our natural world. And we're just getting started. With this unprecedented investment in monitoring and research, there'll be new opportunities to better understand our ocean and to ensure that we're protecting our resources as we reduce and respond to the climate change that also threatens them. The scope's broad, and the priorities include baseline current conditions, physical oceanography, avian species, marine mammals, sea turtles, fisheries, and habitats. In fact, you'll hear today from Grace Saba and Rutgers University on novel efforts to advance ocean science with eco-gliders. And Rutgers has been an amazing partner. Let me just note that. And there's other efforts that they've undertaken, probably too many to even mention. And they're just one, as I said, of many partners that are working together. And let's be honest, we can't do this alone. None of us can. Certainly DEP can't. So partnership and collaboration are critical to achieving our conservation goals. We are also thankful for our federal partners and other states and academia, and of course our local communities. Special shout out to our federal partner NOAA and their proposed designation of the National Marine Sanctuary in the Hudson Canyon. This is good work. So there's so much more that I could cover in the way that, of collaborative initiatives. It's really astounding. When I first walked into this world, there was Rosa and this one and that one. There's just so much. There's people working together, and I've never quite seen anything like it. So you guys are in great company. I think today's conversation will be productive. Your presentations will be engaging. And finally, I'd like to thank Marco as our Regional Ocean Partnership for fostering these really important dialogues and developing data and information, enabling transparency and trust and easy public access to a wealth of information. Coordination across Marco and other regional groups, as I mentioned, the Regional Wildlife Science Collaborative and the Responsible Offshore Science Alliance is incredibly valuable. This is where big ideas are born. And I'm especially grateful for this space here today, which is dedicated to the future of ocean conservation. So I hope that you learn, exchange, challenge, but most of all enjoy. Thank you for having me.